Superman and super therapy to talk about super cancer. Well, the cancer isn't super, but you know what I mean. Or do you? Hello, everybody. My name is Pupteen from the Geeky Pup Show here on the Geeky Pup Show alone because the frog is having issues in his swamp. He needs to drain it. But we're here today to talk about Superman Lois, Season 3, Episode 6. It's a recap and review. Warning, there will be spoilers. So if you want to go watch the episode yourself, go ahead. It's fine. I'll understand. But come back later. So there are some things that are happening with this episode. It's just a matter of what do I want to discuss first. I see some super therapy. Well, it's not super therapy. It's just therapy. That's what Clark starts this episode doing. He's in a group therapy session. People are talking about their spouses. Oh, my spouse is sick. Oh, my spouse has died. And the pain of that and trying to understand each other. But Clark is not taking that. So he just tries to go ahead and butt out. Meanwhile, Lois has made a friend, a chemo friend, named Pia. Yes. Superman without Lois this time. If I ever think of Froggy as Superman thinks of Lois, shoot me. Kill me. In me now. Anyway, yes, Pia, who goes ahead and has a lot of insight about, oh, well, you know, my husband, he takes it hard too, but I make sure to keep him to make sure he understands what I need when I need it to go through this, because that's what really matters, the fight. Lana Lang continues to suck. Just really suck. I'm sorry, like her whole thing about being the mayor last season, that was fun, fine. But here we go ahead and we can see clearly as Sarah is trying to currently study. She has a big test coming up, and you can actually see her stressing out over it. While her little sister, I can't remember her name. I don't think anybody else can remember her name either. The sister of Sarah, her little sister that never shows up in the show, finally showed up for an episode. But she wants to go do something fun, and everybody's busy. But it's not really her fault. Her mother pretty much says, Sarah, do something with her. And Sarah tries to say, well, why can't Dad hang out with her? Because she's busy studying for school. Like, this is the only time in the series we've really seen her actually stress out over homework. And you're taking this time to say, well, that's not really important. I don't care about your math. Watch your sister. Keep her entertained. And instead, Sarah kind of just ignores her and keeps working. And meanwhile, Kyle, who is, Lana Lang's ex-husband now, is still going around with Chrissy. Chrissy has a little interview with the mayor, Lana Lang, and that it's fine. It's fine. It's not fine later, though, when eventually Sarah and John agree to study together. It's just studying together. There's nothing implied there, at least yet. The little sister just leaves. She's told to go figure out food for herself, and there sees nothing in the fridge. So Sarah just lets her go. But that's because Kyle said I'll be back. Can you watch your sister for just a little bit? And he was going to meet Chrissy. So Lana eventually learns this, goes over to check on him, and says, "Where's your sister?" to Sarah, who is still studying It's just studying. It's not fake studying with Jonathan Kent. And everybody's up in arms, so they go searching. And eventually they do find him. And it's actually Jonathan who goes ahead and talks with a little bit to the little sister, says, hey, listen, I understand the difficulties of it all, how it's all happening. I understand you being upset, but, we're all figuring things out. We're all trying to get through our stuff. And that's about it. And that does it. That does the trick. And it's okay. But here's where the real drama is. Superman, his other son, the one they made for this show, Jordan. Jordan feels he's ready to actually go and do some fighting, to go out and protect people and do these things. And Clark not dealing with how he's feeling about Lois means he's trying to push Jordan harder. And I'm not saying he's right or wrong for this. I can see both points, but Jordan gets a little fed up after a simulation of a fight. Jordan handles both of these hollow projections, and they destroy each other, and he clearly passed the test, but then lasers randomly shoot him, and Clark's saying, well, you have to be prepared for anything. Well, okay, Clark, that's kind of dickish. You said this was the test, and then you threw something that wasn't there. And I get you're saying, oh, well, you need to be prepared. You're bullshitting a little bit, aren't you? And that causes some tension later. But Clark eventually has to go, and he has to face... I'm trying to remember what it was. There was a situation that called his attention. Yes. Lois's dad gives a little callsy. Hey, the bad guy that we locked up last time? Well, he's dying. He'll only speak to you. And he pretty much says, give me to Bruno Mannheim. And Superman picks him up, drags him out of the DEO quickly, and goes over to Bruno. And Bruno says, you can't show your face here. And the guy is writhing. I didn't tell him anything. Please, you gotta help me. And Bruno says, well, if he's dying, you need to take him to a hospital. Man dies anyway. Meanwhile, Jordan heard some trouble, and he went off to go rescue people in a flood. Oh no! Why would he go off and do something so reckless on his own? Well, because Lois pretty much said it was okay. And Clark hears that, and he's like, oh. Well, don't get any mud on the carpets. And they're going to go ahead. He has a talk with him. They smooth things over. I love that the show does that. But there is another problem later in which Superman hears while Lois is out for a little bit. She goes on a little city date with her friend Pia. And they have a conversation about, facing trouble. And Bruno Mannheim, Pia says, actually has done a lot for the city. You can't deny that. I'll wait. But because of that, later that night, Clark hears a scream. So does Jordan, but Clark tells him to stay there. He goes flying off into Metropolis at night and is looking because he hears Lois screaming for help. And then suddenly out comes Onomatopoeia. And with a sends Superman on his knees and then back into a wall. And then you can see as Bruno's goons have these kryptonite laser guns pointed at him and they're getting him down. And that's when Lois walks in at home. Hey, what's wrong? And you can see Jordan is upset and saying, we heard you scream. What's happening? And Lois pretty much understands the situation after a little bit of info and says, "Go, help your father." And he actually does, when Jordan gets there, he's able to help distract, get Superman cleared. Clearing the bad guys, onomatopoeia disappears. And you get to go ahead and see as Jordan gets hit by kryptonite. What happens? Seems he's actually kind of immune to it. Like, it hurts him, and Clark gets scared there, but he's able to cuff and get up, and he seems to be a little more resistant than Clark. Huh. Fancy. And this episode ends with Clark pretty much trying group therapy again, saying that I've been terrified by these things that I just can't really understand. I'm not used to feeling this way. And it's a lot of trouble, but he has to just keep facing it. Because him and Lois is pretty much saying, I can die. It can't happen. It could happen. And you have to face that, Clark. And he kind of does, yes. But later that night, as the project is still being worked on with Bizarro's corpse, you can see Bruno Mannheim down there looking at it, and onomatopoeia saying, I can't do this. I'm getting worse. And Froggy was right. Onomatopoeia is definitely a woman, because she takes off the mask, which is a questionable mask. But we get to see it's Pia, and Bruno Mannheim is Pia's husband. And it's all starting to click and make sense and come into, well, the fray. Overall, it's a fine episode. I think it's very good. Definitely better than the other thing that I had to watch tonight. I am interested in seeing where we go with Bruno Mannheim. But the next episode, and I'm sorry I'm not going to be here for the next 2 weeks, because Lex Luthor is coming next week on Superman and Lois. Be prepared. Are you ready? Because I'm not. Well, I am, but I won't be here. So Froggy is going to clue you into all of that. All I can say is another Superman and Lois is perhaps, no, it's the best superhero show right now, period. So if you're not watching it, you need to give it a shot. You need to catch up. It's definitely worth your time. I remember when this show started, everybody was thinking this was going to be heinous. This was going to be terrible. Oh my gosh, the CW Superman. But it is a godsend. And I am so happy that we have it. It's some of the best representation for Superman that we have. So, you think about that. But that's it. So we want to ask you to please like and subscribe. It helps out the channel. Leave a comment down below. Are you watching it? Yes or no? What'd you have for breakfast, by the way? Go ahead. Put anything down there. It helps out if you interact with the channel. It gets it noticed, gets eyes on it, and that helps the channel overall. If you want to help a little more, there's a Ko-Fi link. There are some purchases coming up, and my money, my wallet yells at me. It's like if you watch Harry Potter, those big red letters that turn into a mouse to scream at people. It's like that. No, you don't have money for this. But I still pay it anyway. But that's about it. But like I said, liking, commenting, subscribing, it helps out a lot. And if you're on Twitch, please check us out on YouTube as well. I know you're on Twitch and that's where you tend to stay, but just a little bit of help over there. It helps out a lot, and it means so much to us. But that's it for now. We want to thank you so much for watching. Please help Froggy's Beer Fund. And we'll see you next time. Up, up, and away! Wow. Okay, I crashed there. Bye!